Hi. I wanted to do another video. I've been putting up quite a few videos, and so far I don't get a whole lot of people looking at my videos, which it's okay. I mean, if people followed my videos, that would be fine, but I basically just put this stuff up because it gives me a chance to say something out into the open, and if somebody bumps into it, they do. I'm not trying to make $1 million here. A lot of guys get on YouTube and they do these videos because they want to make money, and that's fine. If you want that to be your job, I mean, it'd be cool if this was my job, as well as also a way to tell people about issues that I find important. But I've been on YouTube here as of late. I've been bumping into a radio segment by Kiro Radio, based out of Seattle. The guy that does the show is Dori Monson, and Dori Monson, you can kind of get an idea of his politics and the things that he believes in, but he doesn't really tell you much about himself, as far as I can tell. I mean, I haven't been watching him for that long, so I don't know. Maybe he's told people more about himself than I care to know. But he talks about issues that he finds relevant, which is good. But he has a real opportunity not just to be a news reporter or to do a news show. I also look at city council videos, city council meetings on YouTube of Seattle City Council. And I have yet in any of the videos to see Dori Monson there talking about anything, engaging any of the city council. He talks about how they're bad, how they're communist this, and how they're socialist that, and how they're going to destroy Seattle, and how they are destroying Seattle. And he sees everything that's wrong with Seattle, but I don't really see him doing anything about it other than just talking about it. You're kind of preaching to the choir there, Dori. Like with me, I live in Minneapolis. I am a long ways from Seattle. Although Seattle is where my heart is at. That's where I left my soul. Like Tony Bennett, I left my heart in San Francisco. Well, I've done the same thing with Seattle. I left my heart in old Seattle. Sometimes we make stupid decisions when we're young, and we have to pay for them. And my penance is living in Minneapolis. Wishing I could be back in Seattle again. Out of all the places I've lived, Seattle is probably the closest place I would consider home. Back home with my mom and my sister, that's home. That'll always be home. But to have a place where I would want to live for the rest of my life and be buried, it would be Seattle. I don't know much about the various neighborhoods, Bellevue, Bellingham, any of that stuff. I couldn't tell you the slightest bit about any of that. And some people would say, well, if you love Seattle that much, you would know about all these little... No. I lived in Queen Anne for just a short period with somebody that I knew. I made a place for myself in Capitol Hill because Capitol Hill was a great place for me back in when I lived there. I had a straight shot from the Capitol Hill, a straight shot down to the Pike Place Market. And then from the Pike Place Market, I could filter over Well, actually, if you're yeah, I could filter over to the Space Needle. I could filter over to Pioneer Square. I could hop on public transportation and go to the U District. Yeah, there's like, if I wanted to, I could go over to Tacoma. So much stuff there that I could do. But I just love Seattle. Going to the Pike Place Market, shopping on a Saturday, ferry boat rides. I could take them over to Marrowstone Island. I could go shopping over there. But you make a stupid mistake, and sometimes you have to pay for it the rest of your life. And like I said, my penance is being here. But just because I'm in Minneapolis, that does not mean that I cannot care about Seattle, and that does not mean that I cannot do what I can to help fix Seattle. If I had the opportunity to move back to Seattle, I would go there. If I had a chance to get there, I would. Housing is very sparse. They're hogtied by the state. The state of Washington is hogtied the city of Minneapolis and other cities in the state of Washington. They have favored the property owners and the landlords over the citizens of the state. And I don't understand why they have done that. Now they're talking about mother-in-law apartments or backyard cottages as a way to go to help affordable housing. That's like saying, yeah, well, you own a house, you got a large living room, why don't you just put beds in there and just rent out the beds? No. People need apartments. Apartments are hard to come by and harder to get, harder to keep. They're harder to get and even harder to keep. Once you have an apartment, there's no telling when the rent is going to go up. There's no telling if it's going to switch hands and go to a different owner, and the owner's not going to abide by the original agreement. You're going to have your rent jacked up 3 times in order to get you out of there because they want young, prosperous, good-looking people in their building. I'm not saying us old farts aren't good-looking, but you know how that goes. So yeah, back to Dori Monson. He's been on Kiro Radio for a while, and he's done a program where he talks about the ills of Seattle and things that he finds pertinent to his radio broadcast, which is cool. But upon doing that, he has an ample... Dori, I'm going to say this to you in case you get a chance to see my video, which I don't think you will. But this is for you. You have a chance to get out of your ivory tower and actually go to these city council meetings and tell them what you think is wrong with the city, you think is wrong with the Seattle Council, City Council. You have a chance to actually make a difference here, but you're choosing not to do that. And I honestly couldn't tell you why you're choosing to not to do that. But if I was in your situation, if I was in your shoes and could possibly make a difference more than just being on radio, I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. I would turn around and go to every council meeting I could. I would voice my opinion now that everybody knows who you are. Apparently you got a name for yourself in Seattle. Dori, I would ask you and everybody else like you in Seattle that's on talk radio to band together and go to the city council and explain to them what you feel is wrong. I can't do that because I'm here. Now, I write to city council every chance I get. I write them letter after letter after letter, and I tell them that I have this idea that could possibly help. At first, they were okay with me writing. But then they got to the point where they thought I was being annoying. And they quit answering my messages. That doesn't mean I don't stop writing them. I will write the city council until they block my email. I will call the city council until they block my number. Seattle is too important of a city, and it is too beautiful of a city for it to become what it is now. I want to help with Seattle. I want to fix that problem as best I can, and I figured the only way to do it was, of course I'm living here. I won't be able to do it in this upcoming election, which I had hoped that I could have, but I'm going to have to go to Seattle. I'm going to have to set up residence there. I'm going to have to spend the next 4 years getting to know people. I'm going to have to put myself out there. I'm going to have to get to know small business owners. I'm going to have to get to know police officers. I'm going to have to get to know the Pike Place Market. The city council will have to know me. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to let them know, hey, in 2015, I believe it is 2015, I'm running for mayor. Y'all have the next 4 years to understand what I'm about, and y'all have the next 4 years to vote for me or not vote for me. I'm not a politician. I don't claim to be a politician. I don't like politics, although it takes politics to get things done. So I am just who I am, and that's who I am. And so for the next 4 years, I will make plans. I'll do videos on YouTube, and I'll talk to area local businesses and all of that. And then whenever it's time for the elections for the next, not this upcoming, but the one after that, when it comes to that election, then I'll have my hat in the ring. And if you want change, if you really want change and you want what's good for Seattle, I'm going to be the person that could possibly give it to you. I know it's going to be a hard battle. The things I want to get done, there's going to be people that will try to stop me because they're making money off of those things, like the homeless. Why do you think the homeless have stayed homeless all this time? Why do you think the city allows that? They allow the homeless, and the city allows the drugs, and the city allows all of that because there is somebody within the city that is making loads of bucks, loads of dollars off of that. I think the buck should stop here. And that's what I want to do, is 1, fix the homeless problem. 2, fix the drug problem. 3, fix the high cost of living. 4, fix the housing. And 5, fix the overall welfare of Seattle. I think Seattle has allowed way too many people to move into their city without an ample way to take care of them. You don't have enough housing. You got boatloads of people that are just moving into Seattle on a hope and a prayer. They're hoping that they'll get a nice job, and they're praying they can find a good apartment. It's expensive. And if you want to just be the land of the expensive, then that's fine. But what's happening to the poor and the homeless? The homeless need to be taken care of. I think we should scoop them up off the street, and we should just get them out of the area. I hate to say that. And I can say that because I was homeless and I understand the situation. I take no sympathy on homeless people. I really don't. Let me retract and rephrase that, because the homeless, the ones that want to stay homeless, the happy homeless, the ones that became homeless out of no fault of their own, that got stuck, I feel sorry for you. I do. If offered an opportunity to get off the street, would you take it? If offered a better station in life, would you take it? Now, back to Dori Monson. Dori, I'm hoping you hear this, because I'm hoping that you put some skin in the game. Talking about what you're talking about is very cool. Don't get me wrong. It's very appreciated for people like me that are looking for video ideas that I can talk about. But two, you have an opportunity to not just talk about this stuff. You have an opportunity because you're there. You're in Seattle. You can go to city council meetings. You can go to protests. You can talk to people on the street. But no, you talk over the radio, and when your radio broadcast is done, you go home and you don't deal with it anymore. This is all that I wanted to just chat about today, and I'm going to let you go on that note. Anyway, if you can help somebody, help them. If you can make somebody else's place a little neater, help do that. Have a good evening, Seattle. This has been All Things Considered, because I consider all things.